Yo, business is coming back to America, whether or not foreign countries can afford to pay it or not. As Trumpito put it the other day when he upped car tariffs to 25% for all foreign cars. Canada's Prime Minister, Mark Carney, immediately spoke to Canada about it. He told him, he said, Canada, I thought that we was cool with America since we connected to them geographically. But don't worry yet. I'm a call Trump, even though he never answers my calls or he never answers my texts or my emails. And then Prime Minister Mark Carney just start crying right live on camera. He know damn well Trumpito not bending. If anything, if he do get through to Trump, the tariffs mess around go up to 30%. My name is Marcus Russell. This is the Marcus Russell Show. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Yo, let's get right to these news.
Has just announced a sweeping new tariff on cars.
Shit.
This is very modest. And what we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars
Not a
that
lot.
are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff. Business is coming back to the United States so that they don't have to pay tariffs.
President Trump announced 25% tariffs against our auto industry.
Yeah,
and this is a direct attack, to be clear, a direct attack on the very workers that I stood in front of, uniform workers I stood in front of this morning at the Ambassador Bridge, a bridge that is a symbol and a reality up until now of the tight ties between our two countries, ties of kinship, ties of commerce, ties that are in the process of being broken.
Yeah,
we will defend our workers. We will defend our companies. We will defend our country.
Defend them
We'll
how?
defend it together. You know, this will hurt us.
Yeah, it probably hurt.
This period, by being together, we will emerge stronger. I think what's happened, and this was part of our discussion, over the course of the last several months, Canadians as a whole across this country, have gotten over the shock of the betrayal and are learning the lessons. We have to look out for ourselves, and we have to look out.
Definitely got to look out for yourself.
It would be appropriate that the President and I speak, given the action that he's taken. I'm sure that will happen soon. I'm not going to give you precise timing on that. In terms of options, which was the second part of Ms. Martin's question, even during a caretaker period of government, we have anticipated this possibility. We have put in place the mechanisms so that if it is appropriate for retaliatory tariffs, and there's many considerations to be taken in those regards, and I want to have the meeting of our cabinet, Canada-U.S. cabinet, other considerations. We need to see the details of the executive order.
Yo, I don't like Caitlin Collins. Yo, the Prime Minister of Canada, like he said, he needs to see the details of the executive order before he starts to consider any retaliatory actions. They say that Canada facilitates America's largest power grid. But I can't imagine that they would try to threaten the power of the whole entire East Coast, because then we just have to come over there and power up our stuff ourselves. Canada clearly considers these auto tariffs as a direct attack on their country. For some reason, also, Democrats think that this will hurt America. But these trades will be permanent starting April 2nd. So this one's not like the last one. There's no turning back. Okay, I'm going to let Caitlin Collins do this thing. I know I don't really like her, but there's a second guy on this panel that spits the facts, and I want you to listen to it.
Your next car could cost more money.
This is very modest. And what we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff. Business is coming back to the United States so that they don't have to pay tariffs.
A very modest 25% tariff, the president says.
Just 25%.
My political sources are here, Paul Begala and Scott Jennings, along with my deeply sourced White House insiders, Zolan Cano-Youngs from the New York Times and Isaac Arnsdorf from the Washington Post. And Isaac, this was something the White House announced later this afternoon. They said the president's going to be making an announcement on auto tariffs. This is a 25% tariff on all imports coming into the U.S., and he said it starts April 2nd. Obviously, he was arguing that that will be, in the end, better for the American consumer. But what have you heard from sources about how this all came about today?
Well, obviously, Trump was elected to lower prices, not raise them. And he is betting that the long run, that Americans are going to stick with him in the long run for the. But factories aren't built overnight. And he's
We got
acknowledged that there's going to
factories.
be pain in the meantime. And I've been
No,
assured
it
by the
won't.
White House that we're not going to see a repeat on April 2nd of what happened a month ago, where the markets panicked. The other countries scrambled and they agreed, well, we have some concessions, let's work it out, let's pause it, let's delay it a month. You know, is this going to be happening every month? Are we going to have that whiplash scare every month that then gets dialed back? I've been assured this time, April 2nd is real.
Well, what happens if April 2nd is real? Because I think that's what all of these, the car makers, the automakers, everyone else who's going to be affected by these tariffs has been looking at, saying, do we need to actually prep for this, or is it going to be an exception, a
It's real.
pullback, whatever we've seen before previously?
Which we've seen in the past, right? Particularly when it came to tariffs on Mexico as well, and when it came to Canada. I remember that when he threatened tariffs initially on Mexico, I traveled there, talked to officials who were asking those same questions. Is this for real? Which is often the question that comes up. Is this just politically advantageous to issue the rhetorical threat of this economic penalty, or to actually go through with it? You mentioned that he acknowledged also the pain that consumers might feel. I think it's more than just he's betting that Americans will be patient here with any sort of economic frustration. That acknowledgement is also part of a resetting of expectations in a way. We have to remember that during the transition, Trump said he would bring down consumer prices immediately and address inflation immediately. Here you start to see, just in recent weeks, the president and other officials saying, hey, look, now that we're in office, these tariffs, it may come with some economic pain, particularly if they do go through with it on April 2nd.
Scott, how does the president balance that in terms of you can only, if you're negotiating and using it as a tactic, you can't really back away from it that often, or people will just always think maybe it's not actually going to happen. But how do you balance that with what consumers might feel as a result of this?
Well, you balance it by making your argument that I'm trying to
There you
transform the
go.
American economy, and while we may have
That
some
part.
short-term pain for consumers, we're going to have long-term gain for workers. And if you look on your social media tonight, the United Auto Workers, the UAW, has put out a strong statement in support of what Trump did today. And one of the
That part.
reasons that Trump said he was doing the tariff is because of declining domestic production. And so in the eyes of Trump, in the eyes of the UAW, the people who represent the people who work in these factories, this
Get
is a
'em.
win for them. So the balance here is short-term pain for consumers, maybe long-term gain for workers. And by the way, if everybody wants to make their stuff here, nobody's going to feel
Bring
any
it
pain at
here.
all.
Yo, Canada. I'm gonna go ahead and jump your mission, your journey off to acceptance off correctly. Look, you in America, we're not friends anymore. Look, we never even liked y'all. We don't. Y'all talk funny. We don't like them little hats y'all be wearing. It's a lot of Sasquatch out there. Bigfoot. We don't like Bigfoot. Straight up, if it wasn't for Niagara Falls, we'd turn your whole country into an apartment complex, and you know this. So just really stay over there and be quiet before Trumpito reverts back to turning y'all into the 51st country or the 51st state or whatever. Because I like that idea anyway. You know what I'm saying? You tell me what y'all think in the comments. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Until next time. My name is Marcus Russell. This is the Marcus Russell Show. Peace.